Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History. Once again to our amazing channel where we explore the fascinating stories and hidden values behind the coins that we see every single day. Today we are diving deep into the world of the United States of America and focusing on one of the most collected coins in history, the 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 2006. At first glance it might look like just an ordinary modern coin, something you've probably seen countless times in your pocket change. But what if I told you that one of these seemingly common coins could actually be worth thousands of dollars? Yes, that's right, the 2006 Lincoln penny hides secrets that most people overlook, and today we're going to uncover everything from its history and design to the rare errors that make it so valuable. So grab your magnifying glass and let's get ready to discover what makes this coin so special. The Lincoln penny has always been one of America's most iconic coins since its introduction in 1909. When it replaced the Indian head cent, it has carried the image of the beloved President Abraham Lincoln as a lasting tribute to his legacy of freedom and unity. Over the years, this small coin has witnessed more than a century of change in American history: wars, economic booms, recessions, and technological revolutions, yet the penny has continued to endure through it all. By 2006, the design we see was part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Reverse series, which began in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This version remained in circulation until 2008, just before the design switched to the Lincoln bicentennial cents in 2009. The obverse side of the 2006 penny displays the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. His profile is facing right with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" along with the year 2006 just below his image. The detail on Lincoln's face, the sharpness of the lettering, and the shine of the copper plating all contribute to the beauty of this small yet powerful coin. On the reverse side sits the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo. This design perfectly aligns with the American spirit. It's a tribute not only to Lincoln's life but also to his lasting impact on the nation. If you look closely through a magnifying glass, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, which is one of the most impressive design details on any U.S. coin. But beyond its appearance, what really excites collectors about the 2006 Lincoln penny are the rare errors and mint variations that can make it extremely valuable. Even though billions of pennies were minted that year, there are special ones that stand out and can command incredible prices. The United States Mint produced these pennies at three main facilities: Philadelphia, which has no mint mark; Denver, marked with AD; and San Francisco, which struck the proof coins marked with an S. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced billions for circulation, but the San Francisco Mint created much smaller numbers of proof coins intended for collectors, and these have an exceptional mirror-like finish that makes them highly desirable. Among the most valuable 2006 pennies are those with minting errors. These are the coins that escaped the strict quality control process with mistakes that make them unique. For example, there are double die obverse errors where the lettering or the date appears slightly doubled under magnification. This happens when the die used to strike the coin was misaligned or pressed more than once at a slight angle. Such errors make collectors go crazy because no two double dies are exactly alike. Another error involves off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the coin blank was not properly centered when struck. These coins can range in value depending on how severe the misalignment is. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the more valuable it becomes. Then there are die cracks and die breaks, tiny lines or raised bumps that appear when the die itself starts to wear out before being replaced. Even small die breaks can add serious collector value, especially if they're in interesting locations like near Lincoln's eye or on the memorial columns. Another rare variety that collectors hunt for is the satin finish 2006 penny, which was part of special mint sets. These coins were struck using higher pressure and special dies that gave them a beautiful smooth texture and sharper details than regular circulation strikes. While these satin coins are already collectible, finding one with perfect uncirculated condition can make it even more desirable to investors and numismatists. Condition is everything in coin collecting, and the 2006 penny is no exception. A coin that has been handled lightly with no scratches, discoloration, or signs of wear can be worth dramatically more than one that has circulated for years in pockets and cash registers. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC in mint state conditions, especially MS67 or MS68, can command impressive prices in today's market. Let's not forget the composition of the 2006 penny as well. It's made of copper-plated zinc consisting of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, giving it that familiar red tone when freshly minted, but over time these coins can darken or develop spots due to oxidation. Still, if you come across one that maintains its bright copper luster, it's worth taking a closer look, because those are the ones collectors dream of finding. So how do you know if your 2006 Lincoln penny might be valuable? First, take a good look at the mint mark. If it has a D or an S, check carefully for doubling in the date or lettering under magnification. Look at the edges for any signs of an off-center strike or clipped planchet. Examine the surface for cracks or raised lines, and if it's in perfect condition with no scratches, fingerprints, or dulling, it might be a candidate for professional grading. The higher the grade, the higher the value, and sometimes the difference between an ordinary penny and a rare one worth thousands can come down to the tiniest detail. There have been reports of collectors and dealers paying remarkable prices for rare examples of the 2006 Lincoln penny, especially those with significant double die or proof-like features, and when such coins appear in auctions, they tend to attract strong bidding wars from passionate collectors who understand just how hard it is to find flawless modern coins that stand out among billions struck. So if you ever stumble upon a shiny 2006 penny that looks a little different or unusually detailed, don't ignore it. That small cent could be your golden ticket to an incredible payday. And now for the moment everyone's been waiting for. If you happen to have a 2006 Lincoln penny in perfect mint state condition, or one with a unique and dramatic minting error, its value could reach an astounding $26,000. That's right, $26,000 for a single 1-cent coin. Imagine turning your everyday pocket change into something that could change your life. So the next time you go through your coins, pay attention to those details. That tiny penny might not seem like much, but it carries a piece of American history and possibly a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Make sure to handle your coins carefully, store them properly, and always check for rare varieties, because you never know when the next valuable find will appear before your eyes. Today we are diving deep into one of the most intriguing coins from modern American history, the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1998. At first glance it may look like an ordinary penny, something you've probably seen countless times in your change jar or purse, but behind that small copper-colored coin lies an incredible story, a mix of history, design, artistry, and hidden value that could surprise even the most experienced collectors. Stay with me until the end, because you won't believe how much one of these simple-looking 1998 Lincoln pennies could be worth today. The Lincoln penny has been one of the most beloved and iconic coins in American history since it was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first coin in U.S. history to feature a real person's face and not a symbolic figure. Since then it has become a symbol of American heritage, perseverance, and unity. By 1998 the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for nearly 90 years, but it still remained one of the most widely used and recognized coins in the country. This tiny piece of metal carries with it not only monetary value but also a piece of history that represents the strength of a nation. In 1998 the United States Mint was still producing the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which had been in use since 1959, replacing the earlier wheat ears design that ran from 1909 to 1958. The reverse features the famous Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. with the word United States of America and the denomination 1 cent. The incredible detail of the design even includes a tiny seated statue of Abraham Lincoln inside the memorial that can be seen with magnification. This was a clever and artistic tribute, linking both sides of the coin to the same great leader. The obverse side of the 1998 penny continues the classic design by Victor David Brenner, showing the right-facing portrait of President Lincoln along with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year 1998 beneath Lincoln's profile. The small mint mark just below the date identifies where the coin was struck: P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. In 1998 billions of pennies were produced across these mints, with the majority coming from Philadelphia and Denver. The San Francisco mint struck proof coins intended for collectors, featuring a mirror-like finish and razor-sharp details that make them true miniature works of art. While billions of 1998 pennies were minted, not all of them are the same, and that's where things get exciting for collectors. Although most of these coins are worth only their face value, there are a few rare varieties and errors that can turn this common coin into an incredible treasure worth thousands of dollars. The key lies in the details and condition. One of the most famous varieties of the 1998 Lincoln penny is the so-called wide AM reverse. This special version can easily be mistaken for an ordinary coin, but if you Look closely between the letters A and M in the word America on the back. You'll notice that there's a wider gap than usual in normal coins from 1998. The letters are very close together, known as close AM, but in the rare variety they are spaced apart. This wide AM design actually belongs to the proof dies used for the San Francisco Mint, and by mistake a few of those dies were used for regular business strike coins in Philadelphia. This simple minting error created one of the most sought after modern penny varieties, and collectors have been searching for them ever since. Another known error involves double dies, where part of the design, especially in the lettering or the date, appears slightly doubled under magnification. These double die errors are fascinating because no two are exactly the same. They happen when the die that strikes the coin shifts slightly during the minting process. This creates a doubled image effect that makes the coin unique in the eyes of collectors, and depending on the strength of the doubling, such coins can command very high prices at auctions. There are also rare examples of off-center strikes where part of the design is missing because the blank coin was not properly centered during minting. The more off-center the strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. For instance, a 1998 penny that shows only half of Lincoln's portrait or part of the memorial missing can easily catch the attention of collectors who value such imperfections as unique art pieces from the minting process. Other interesting variations include die cracks, die chips, and misaligned dies that result in raised bumps, lines, or broken details on the coin. Each of these minting errors adds character and rarity that makes the coin worth far more than 1 cent. But condition is just as important as rarity. Even without a major error, a 1998 penny in flawless uncirculated condition or a proof strike kept in its original mint packaging can be worth far more than its face value. Coins that have been graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC with high grades such as MS67 or MS68 can attract strong interest from collectors because modern coins in such perfect states are incredibly hard to find. After decades of handling, storage, and exposure to the elements, most pennies lose their original luster or get scratched, but those that survive in brilliant red mint condition remain prized possessions. The 1998 Lincoln penny is made of copper-plated zinc containing 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper, which gives it a bright red finish when freshly minted. However, over time these coins often develop dark spots or discoloration due to oxidation, making it even rarer to find one with that original reddish glow intact. The proof coins from San Francisco, however, were struck with special dies and polished planchets, giving them that incredible mirror shine on the background and frosted details on Lincoln's face and the memorial. These coins look absolutely stunning when viewed under light, and collectors often pay premium prices for perfectly preserved examples. So if you want to check whether your 1998 penny might be valuable, here's what to do. First, look closely at the reverse side. Check the spacing between the letters A and M in America. If the gap is noticeably wider than usual, congratulations, you may have discovered the rare wide AM variety. Next, examine the coin surface under good lighting. Look for any doubling in the letters or dates, small die cracks, or unusual raised bumps. Also check the edges to see if it has been struck off center, and finally evaluate its condition. If it still has that fresh mint red color, sharp details, and no scratches or spots, you could be holding a gem worthy of grading. Coin collectors and dealers around the country continue to search for these rare 1998 Lincoln cents because they combine modern minting history with collectible appeal, and whenever one of these rare varieties or high-grade coins appears at auction, they often sell for impressive amounts, showing that even modern pennies can bring huge surprises. It's this thrill of discovery that keeps coin collecting alive and exciting. You never know when the next valuable find might come from your pocket change. And now for the part you've been waiting for. If you happen to have a 1998 Lincoln penny in perfect uncirculated condition, or one with the rare wide AM reverse or a striking minting error, its value could reach an astonishing $35,000. That's right, $35,000 for a coin that many people overlook every day as just another penny. Imagine holding that kind of value in the palm of your hand. So before you spend your next penny, take a closer look, because that small coin could be a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered. Coin collecting is not just about money, it's about history, discovery, and passion, and every coin tells a story. Today we are diving deep into the incredible story of the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1967, a year filled with change, progress, and transformation in America, and a coin that continues to surprise collectors with its unique charm and hidden value. This coin is not just an ordinary piece of copper, but a silent witness to an era when the nation was evolving rapidly and its minting system was going through significant transitions as well. Imagine holding in your hand a penny that was minted over half a century ago yet still shines with the legacy of one of the most iconic figures in American history, President Abraham Lincoln, the man whose image has graced the humble 1-cent coin since 1909 when the first Lincoln penny was introduced to celebrate the 100th anniversary of his birth. The 1967 Lincoln penny stands out as a fascinating chapter in the ongoing story of this beloved coin series. The year 1967 was an interesting time for coin collectors because the United States Mint had just come out of the coin shortage crisis of the mid-1960s. During this period, the Mint had suspended the use of mint marks on all coins to discourage hoarding and speculation. This means that if you take a close look at your 1967 Lincoln penny, you'll notice there's no mint mark at all. It doesn't say D for Denver or S for San Francisco or even P for Philadelphia, and that's because every single 1967 penny was intentionally produced without one. The government wanted to make coin collecting less frenzied at the time, since too many people were saving newly minted coins thinking they would become rare. But ironically, this decision only made certain 1967 pennies more interesting to collectors. Decades later, these coins were struck in huge numbers, yet not all of them came out perfectly during the minting process. Some 1967 Lincoln pennies display fascinating varieties that make them stand out and add enormous value to what otherwise would be just a regular 1-cent coin. For instance, certain coins exhibit what collectors call a double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice or slightly misaligned, creating a doubling effect on details like the date or the lettering on the obverse side under the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." If you look closely with a magnifying glass, you might see a faint doubling pattern, and that's where things start to get exciting, because such a small difference can mean a massive increase in the coin's value. Then there are 1967 pennies that show off striking errors such as die cracks, off-center strikes, or weak strikes where parts of the design appear faint or incomplete. These are often the result of worn dies or misaligned machinery at the mint, and while they may look like flaws to the untrained eye, to a collector they are treasures. Each imperfection tells the story of a specific moment during the minting process and makes the coin one of a kind. There are even rare transitional errors from that time when the mint was adjusting die pressure and planchet materials, making some coins slightly lighter or darker in tone, and these subtle variations can make all the difference in the eyes of coin grading experts. When you look at the obverse of the 1967 penny, you see the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. His calm and dignified expression reminds Americans of resilience, leadership, and freedom. The reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial designed by Frank Gasparo, which had been introduced just a few years earlier in 1959 to replace the wheat ears design that appeared on earlier pennies. The Lincoln Memorial reverse was a symbol of national unity and reverence for one of America's greatest presidents. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. It's a detail many people miss, but coin collectors absolutely love the artistry and depth that went into creating such a small yet powerful piece of metal. Now let's talk about the composition of this historic coin. The 1967 Lincoln penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This classic bronze composition gives it that warm reddish tone that coin enthusiasts recognize immediately. But copper coins have a fascinating trait. Over time they can develop beautiful natural toning and patina ranging from golden hues to deep chocolate browns, which can make certain specimens even more attractive to collectors, especially those that have been preserved in pristine condition. Coins that were stored carefully in albums or rolls and never exposed to heavy circulation often retain their original luster and are graded much higher by professionals. Condition, as always, plays a huge role in determining a coin's value. A heavily worn 1967 penny might only be worth face value, but if you find one that's in mint state condition or better, especially with proof-like qualities or a known era variety, then you're looking at a coin that could be worth serious money. Numismatists use the Sheldon grading scale to rate coins from 1 to 70, and any coin graded above 65 is considered gem condition with sharp details and brilliant surfaces. A 1967 penny with full red luster and minimal blemishes can fetch an incredible price when placed in front of eager collectors or auction bidders. Over the years, some 1967 Lincoln pennies with these characteristics have appeared at major auctions, surprising even seasoned collectors with how much they sold for. Because while most people overlook these coins, thinking they're just common pocket change, it turns out that certain examples are rare survivors of their time, and these hidden gems continue to gain recognition as more collectors become interested in mid-20th century U.S. coinage. So if you happen to have an old penny jar tucked away, or you recently inherited a collection, it might be worth taking a closer look through your 1960s coins, especially those from 1960. 7. The thrill of coin collecting lies not only in the hunt but also in uncovering the history behind each coin. Every scratch or shine tells a part of America's story, from the machines that struck them to the hands that carried them through decades of change. The 1967 penny is more than just copper. It's a reflection of American determination and the resilience of a nation that continued to innovate even during economic uncertainty. Today, collectors prize it not only for its beauty and craftsmanship but also for its rarity, in top condition, and unique historical background. And now comes the most exciting part. If you happen to own a 1967 Lincoln penny that has been preserved perfectly with no major blemishes, bright red color, and possibly a rare minting error, then you might just be holding a small fortune in your hands, because one of these rare and beautiful Lincoln pennies has been sold for an astonishing $58,300. Today we're turning our attention to a coin that you've probably seen countless times in your pocket change, but one that carries a story and value far beyond its humble 1-cent face value. We're talking about the United States of America 1-cent Lincoln penny from 1971, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance but could be hiding an incredible surprise. This small copper piece has fascinated collectors for decades, and today you'll discover why some of these coins have become so highly sought after by numismatists all over the world. The 1971 Lincoln penny represents a fascinating moment in U.S. minting history, when technology, tradition, and human craftsmanship all came together to produce one of the most recognized coins ever made. Let's take a step back in time to understand what made the 1971 penny special. The early 1970s were a period of transformation for America. The economy was shifting, inflation was on the rise, and the U.S. Mint was experimenting with ways to reduce production costs without sacrificing quality. The Lincoln penny had already been in circulation since 1909, when it was introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin became an instant symbol of American pride and unity. It was the first circulating U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic image, and ever since then it has remained a beloved fixture in American currency. By 1971, the Lincoln penny had already transitioned from its original wheat ears reverse design to the modern Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo. This change took place in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, so the 1971 penny bears the same familiar portrait of Lincoln on the obverse and the majestic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. If you look closely, you'll see incredible detail in the memorial itself, including a tiny depiction of the seated statue of Lincoln visible between the columns. It's an artistic masterpiece in miniature, capturing not only national history but the precision of American minting at that time. Now here's where things start to get even more interesting. The 1971 Lincoln penny was minted in 3 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark, the Denver Mint, identified by a small d under the date, and the San Francisco Mint, which struck proof coins marked with an S. Most of these coins were struck in huge numbers, billions in total, but as collectors know, not all coins are created equal. Variations in die strikes, planchet quality, and minting pressure often resulted in subtle differences that today can mean the difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth thousands. Among the most famous and valuable varieties of the 1971 Lincoln penny is the 1971 double die obverse variety. This rare error was caused by a misalignment between the die and the hub during the striking process, resulting in noticeable doubling of the lettering and numbers on the obverse side of the coin. Under magnification, you can clearly see the doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date 1971. This kind of doubling is bold and sharp, not a minor blur, which is why when collectors find one, they instantly know they have something special. These double die errors are considered some of the most exciting discoveries in modern coinage because they combine rarity, visual appeal, and historical significance. But that's not all. Certain 1971 pennies from the San Francisco Mint also show fascinating variations. Proof coins from that year were made with extraordinary care, polished dies, and specially prepared planchets to achieve mirror-like finishes, but a small number of these proofs display minting errors that slipped past quality control, and these can be worth a fortune when certified by top grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Even regular business strike coins can show off-center strikes, die cracks, or planchet laminations that dramatically increase collector interest, because such coins are literal one-of-a-kind pieces, each with its own unique story. Let's talk about the material composition of the 1971 penny. It's made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, the classic bronze alloy that gives older pennies their distinct reddish color. Over the years, as copper ages, it develops natural toning, a warm range of brown and red shades that collectors describe as brown red brown or full red in coin grading terms. A full red example meaning a coin that still retains its original mint luster is extremely desirable because it indicates the coin has been preserved carefully without exposure to oxidation or handling. Coins that have been kept in uncirculated rolls or proof sets are often the ones that survive in such pristine state, and they can command high prices at auctions. Another fascinating detail about the 1971 penny is how condition and rarity interact to determine value. A typical worn penny from 1971 that's been in circulation for decades might only be worth its face value, but when you find one that's in mint state condition, especially with a doubling error or other minting anomaly, the story changes completely. Collectors grade coins using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, and a coin that scores MS 65 or higher, meaning it has a bright luster, sharp details, and no major marks, can fetch extraordinary prices in the market even without errors. The finest examples from this year are prized for their rich red coloration and strong strike details because they represent some of the best craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint during the early 1970s. What makes the 1971 penny such an appealing collectible is that it combines accessibility with the thrill of discovery. Almost everyone in the United States has handled a Lincoln penny at some point, and that's what makes searching for these hidden treasures so exciting. You never know when a simple coin you've been overlooking could turn out to be an extremely rare variety. Imagine going through a handful of change only to realize that the small coin glinting under the light is actually worth thousands of dollars. That's the magic of coin collecting, and it's the reason so many people around the world are drawn to the hunt for these incredible finds. Over time, certain examples of the 1971 Lincoln penny have been documented selling for jaw-dropping amounts, especially those with strong double die features or proof errors. These coins remind us that the value of a penny isn't always measured by its denomination but by its rarity, story, and condition. Collectors treasure these coins not only for their potential monetary value but also for the thrill of holding a tangible piece of American history in their hands. Every scratch and shine tells a part of the past, from the machines that struck it to the pockets it might have traveled through decades ago. So the next time you come across an old penny, don't dismiss it as just another copper coin. Take a closer look, examine the date, the details of Lincoln's face, and the clarity of the lettering. You might just find that you're holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined, because hidden among the billions of pennies minted in 1971 are a few extraordinary pieces that could completely change your perspective on what a single cent can be worth. And yes, some of these coins have stunned the collecting world by selling for as much as $37,600.